In this video, we're going to be reviewing the Lewitt Connect 2 audio interface. The Connect 2 currently retails for $199, and in the box, you'll get the interface, a USB-C cable, and a USB-A adapter. First, let's take a look at the design. This interface has a very small form factor, so it's barely going to take up any space on your desk, and it weighs less than 1 pound, making it extremely portable. Just for comparison, here it is side by side to my iPhone 15. As you can see, they're pretty much the same height, but the Connect 2 is just a little bit wider. The black finish is definitely a plus because it's going to blend into pretty much any home studio setup, and I'm also a big fan of the simplicity in this design and how you have access to all of its functions on the front of the interface while maintaining the cables behind it, which is going to help to keep your desk clutter-free. Moving on to the specs and features, on the back you'll find one XLR input for your microphone, a 48-volt switch to power on condenser mics, a high-Z instrument input for your guitar and bass, 2 monitor outputs, 2 headphone outputs, and a USB-C connection which does bus power this interface. On the front, you'll find one custom button which you can assign to do different shortcuts by using the software, your instrument and microphone inputs, a mute button, a monitor selector, your headphone selector, and direct monitoring, which is going to allow you to balance the signal coming from your inputs as well as your computer's internal audio. In the middle, you'll find the scroll wheel where you get to control both the volume and gain levels of every channel, but by far the coolest feature about this interface is auto setup. This is a game changer, especially for beginners, because all you need to do is plug your microphone or your instrument, click on auto setup, then follow the prompts, and within less than 20 seconds, the interface is going to set all of the levels for you. It's going to ensure that the audio isn't too loud or too quiet. It's going to be set just right. This way, you don't have to worry about the technical side of recording and can just focus on creating. The Connect 2 also comes included with Lewitt's Control Center software, which you can download from their official website, and this is what it looks like. On the left side, you'll find both of your input channels as well as the auto setup feature, each channel having a high pass filter, which is going to help to roll off the low end of your recordings, a 48-volt switch for condenser microphones, clip guard, which is a very useful tool because it's going to prevent your audio from ever clipping, a gain knob, which does provide up to 72 decibels of gain, being more than enough to power any microphone, including gain-hungry mics like the Shure SM7B. It also gives you 3 EQ settings, a compressor, a mute button, and a denoiser, which is a very useful tool to remove background noise from your recordings, because let's face it, most of us are trying to record in less than ideal workspaces, so just by having this feature, it's definitely going to help to clean up your audio. On the right side, it has all of your output channels, including audio loopback, which is a great feature if you're planning to do some sort of live streaming. And on the far right, it gives you direct monitoring, which will allow you to blend the signal coming from your inputs as well as your computer's internal audio. In addition, by clicking on the gear icon on the top right, it will give you more control to customize the LED lights on the actual interface, and at the bottom you get to assign the custom button to do different shortcuts. Moving on, let's do some audio tests so you can hear the built-in preamps on this interface. You're listening to the Lewitt Ray microphone being plugged into the Connect 2 audio interface without any post-processing, and this is what the built-in preamp sounds like. Now you're listening to the auto setup feature, which has added a compressor, denoiser, and the clip guard, and this is what the processed audio sounds like. Next, let's test the EQ. This is the clean setting, which is supposed to give you the most natural sound out of the microphone. Moving to the warm setting, this is supposed to give you more of a vintage tone, and vivid, which is going to boost the high frequencies, giving you a brighter sound. Next, we're going to test the compressor. This is the signal completely dry without any compression, and this is the signal with the compressor turned on. Moving on, let's test the denoiser. This is what the signal sounds like with my air conditioning going on the back, and this is the signal with the denoiser turned on. Moving on to a dynamic microphone, this time you're listening to the Shure SM7DB, which is the brand new version of the SM7B. My gain level is at 65 decibels, and as you can hear, it's more than enough to power this mic. Now you're listening to the fully processed signal with a bit of compression, denoising, and the clip guard, and this is what kind of sound quality you can expect at an SM7B being plugged into the Lewitt Connect 2. Here's the EQ setting on clean, giving you the natural sound of the SM7DB. Moving on to the warm setting, which is going to give you a much darker tone, and vivid, which is going to give you a much brighter sound. There's no man that's terrified. It's the man who stands to lose you. Oh, I hope I don't lose you. Please stay. I want you, I need you, oh God. Don't take these beautiful things that I've got. So what are my overall thoughts and who would I recommend this interface to? Before I share them with you, if you enjoy reviews like this one, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Starting with the pros is ease of use. I've tested quite a few interfaces here on this channel, and I have to say this one is by far one of the easiest to use. Even if you're a beginner, just by looking at the icons on the front of the interface, you can pretty much figure out what everything does. Need to control your mic? Just click on the microphone icon. Need to adjust your headphones? Click on the headphones. But by far, the most useful feature on this interface is auto setup. This makes the recording process extremely easy because all you need to do is plug your microphone or your instrument, click on auto setup, and within less than 20 seconds, the interface is going to do all the work for you. This way, you really don't need to worry about the technical side of things and can just focus on creating. Also, I'm really glad that Lewitt included both the denoiser and the clip guard because this pretty much fail-proofs your recordings. Another pro is the sound. The built-in preamp sounded really clean, and 72 decibels of gain is more than enough to power any microphone, including the Shure SM7B. Also, the instrument input is a high Z input, which means you're gonna get way more detail in the sound, especially in the high frequencies, and you're not gonna have to buy an external DI box or be obligated to mic and amplifier. Because let's face it, most of us are trying to record in apartment complexes, so it's not like we can crank up an amp anyway. So if you're somebody like me and you plan to use amp simulations, this is a must-have. The third pro is portability. This interface has a very small form factor. It barely takes up any space on your desk, and it weighs less than 1 pound, which is perfect to take with you on the go when traveling. But now let's talk about the cons. For around $200, you're only getting one XLR input. This is perfect if you're a solo creator and you only plan to record yourself. However, if you plan to have guests over at your studio, let's say maybe you run a podcast, or maybe you're in a band and you want to mic multiple instruments at once, unfortunately, this interface won't let you do that. Another con is that the scroll wheel definitely has a bit of lag to it. As you scroll your finger, you're definitely going to notice that it just drags behind and you're going to have to scroll multiple times. So not the greatest experience, but I hope that this is just a firmware issue that Lewitt can fix this in the future. But the biggest con with this interface are the headphone outputs. I'm currently using the Beyerdynamics DT770 Pro's 80 ohms version, which are not even considered high impedance headphones. And unfortunately, for me to get a good signal out of them, I do need to crank the volume all the way up, which is not ideal. And even though there is a way to fix this, you do need to access the software. So you need to go into the gear icon and then go under the custom settings and select high impedance mode. And I don't understand why this couldn't just be the default setting on the interface instead of having to use the software to fix it. So if you're somebody using high impedance headphones, you will need to do this. Otherwise, it's just not going to be enough to power them. But overall, I think the Lewitt Connect 2 is an extremely easy to use interface with a great sounding preamp and a lot of unique features. So I would definitely recommend it to anyone who is a solo creator, whether you're a musician, live streamer, podcaster, or voice voice actor. If you want to buy the interface, the link is down in the description below. And if you want to check out the perfect mic to go with that interface, then make sure to click on this video.